Yo guys, it's JJ here, and today I'm going to be taking you guys through a real Boston Richey tutorial. And of course, you guys know who he is, the Detroit rapper. Came out with an album a few months ago called Public Housing. Few tracks with Future, Durkio. We all know who he is, so let's just get straight into this. First of all, before we start, you gotta know it's a lot of Detroit influenced rap, so you gotta have a very high BPM going here. We're on about like the 160s to 170s. I stuck to 164 when making this beat, so that's the tempo we're going for today. And now, first of all, getting into the melody, we use the plugin called Expand 2, and I chose the preset called Soft Legato Strings, and it's from the Strings Bank. When it comes to real Boston Richey, it's very dark kind of stuff. You want to keep it very basic and simple. So what I did was I just made this nice little progression that repeats every 2 bar, and it's honestly just the same note copy and pasted up different octave. That's all it really is. And because these notes are one semitone apart, it creates a lot of tension, so it really helps with that dark trap sound. And then I just copy and pasted it over till I got a full 8 bar, and now this is what the sound sounds like. And there you have it, very nice start to the beat. And there we have it, very nice start to the melody. And for effects, I've really just got a nice basic EQ going on here and a decent amount of reverb. Next up, we got ourselves a one-shot bass that I have in my banks. Next up, we got ourselves a little one-shot bass. I can't remember where I really got it from, but it's a Detroit kind of bass, so it really just goes with the whole theme well. As you guys can see, I've just got it repeated following the root notes with a nice little drum bounce. And one thing I like to do, guys, obviously, is as you guys can see here, I cut off the note because it gives it a bit more bounce. It sounds really nice with the whole beat going, so that's what it is. And then at the very end, I had like this nice little repeating stutter kind of thing, and this is what the bass line sounds like. And there you have it. Sounds super nice, super Detroit-esque again. Really dark because we're following that one note apart kind of tension thing. So really stick to basic and simple here. Then next up, we got ourselves a preset called Piano V2, which is what I always use for my piano. And I'm using the preset American Large Studio. And then as you guys can see, it's just following the same root note, but using a drum bounce of like an 808, if that makes sense. And I just copy and pasted it up an octave. And that's all it really is. Has a nice little bounce. A lot of Detroit sounds have like dark strings, dark bells, dark keys, such as this beat for example, and it just complements it really well. So this is what the pattern sounds like. And there you have it, very simple, straightforward, same pattern as literally everything you've just seen before, and that's how Detroit beats are all made. So, and let's get into the mix. As you guys can see, very basic EQ, just ducking the frequency I wasn't a fan of. And then on top of that, I just had a little reverb added to the keys, and that's all it really was. Then next up, we got ourselves a bell, of course, because a lot of Detroit beats has bells, and you can't go wrong with using one. So, as you guys can see, this is the pattern I came up with. It repeats every 4 bar. However, at this different 4 bar here, I've just changed it up by taking this up a few semitones. And as well as that, the reason I'm not playing the bell at every 808 hit is because it gives it a nice little bit more bounce. It sounds more authentic, not really repetitive. Because, you know, obviously you want to have a nice Detroit beat that's hard and dark. However, you do want to have a bit of variation, not keeping it too simple. So this is what it sounds like. And there you have it, very simple and straightforward. As for effects, as you guys can see again, a very basic EQ, and as well as that, a very basic reverb. Quite simple and straightforward. And now last but not least, I got myself this sound from Analog Lab 5. It's a preset called Kill Bill, and unfortunately I do not remember what bank it's from, but I do know it's not a stock bank. And all I did was just play the root note, which starts off, and just took it up an octave. And the way I use this instrument in the beat was kind of like an accent that comes in here and there. Really nice sound. So without further ado, this is what it sounds like. And there you have it, very nice sound. It's a nice little accent I think that would come into the beat really well and complements the whole thing. And of course for effects, another basic EQ and a very basic reverb. And of course, last but not least for the melody, what I did was I rendered it all out as you guys can see, and then I took it down 3 semitones. So the whole scale of the new beat goes down from an F sharp all the way to a D sharp minor, and it gives it a much nice darker tone. I feel like it suits the beat really well, gives me more of that real Boston Richey sound because it's nice and dark. Because the scales he usually works in, I'd say, vary from like A to a D sharp minor, very dark kind of stuff, if you know what I mean. And now without further ado, this is what the full melody sounds like. And there you have it. Nice melody, super dark, super hard, super Detroit. And without further ado, let's get into the drums. First of all, for the drums, we got ourselves a nice snare pattern. And yes, I'm using a snare, not a clap, because I feel like a snare hits harder. It's used the whole dark aesthetic a bit more. And then as well as that, at the end of every 4-bar, I have like this nice little roll I created. It sounded super nice. And all you have to do is just mess with the velocities here by right-clicking and just dragging it all the way down. And does the job super well. So without further ado, this is what the snare pattern sounds like. And there you have it. The next up, we got ourselves a very basic but repetitive kick pattern. It repeats literally every 2-bar. It's that same old, good old kick bounce. We all know it. We all love it. And without further ado, this is what it sounds like. And there you have it. Very simple, very straightforward. And of course, don't forget, by the way, click Control A and always use that scroller wheel to max your velocities. It really makes your kick punch through in the beat, and it really just helps get a nice sharp sound, stands out. It doesn't let the 808 overtake it. It just does the job perfectly. Then next up, we got ourselves a nice little Detroit perk sound. As you guys can see, it repeats literally just once every 4-bar because there's quite a few perks going on here. And that's the whole aesthetic of Detroit beats. They really just always do this. They have bare perks going on. So this is what it sounds like. Very simple, nice little perk, and on to the next. So here we got ourselves another perk, very simple pattern again, repeats every 4-bar, and this is what it sounds like. You know, there's nice little laser sounds, very good for Detroit beats. And then we got ourselves, of course, another perk coming in, and it comes in at the end of every 8-bar, and this is what it sounds like. It's a very lovely little snake rattle. It adds a bit more of that like, ooh, flair to it all, you know what I mean? So that's what we got going. Then next up, of course, we got ourselves another perk pattern. Would you believe it? Because there's millions of perks in Detroit beats, so this is what the perk sounds like. And of course, I know you guys have definitely heard this perk before. It's really common in Detroit beats and also in real Boston Richey beats. And you'll find it a lot throughout his album Public Housing. And that's everything for the perks. However, if you guys do want to get some of your own, I really recommend just using Reddit. You'll find a lot of stuff on there. If you just type in, for example, Detroit Reddit drum kit, you will find millions of examples. Everything's online. You can get it for free. Super dope, so make sure you do that. Next up, we got ourselves the hi-hat pattern. And as you guys can see, it's very basic, very simple, but it does the job really well because we got so much stuff going on. We don't want to let the hi-hats take over too much. The only thing I really did do to make it a bit interesting was look the velocity of every second hi-hat that plays, as you guys can see, and it gives it a nice little bit of a rhythmic bounce. So this is what it sounds like. And there you have it. And last but not least, we got ourselves the 808 pattern. And just remember again, it's not an F sharp anymore. It's in the D sharp minor scale. So that's why the pattern's playing at these root notes. And as you guys can see, of course, I click Control A and use the scroller wheel to max my velocities. That's just to make the 808 punch as well as the kick. And it really just brings out that Detroit sound. And as for the 808 of choice, I didn't use a Spins 808, but I did use a Zay 808 because you can go between both when it comes to these type of beats. And I thought it really just suited the trap aesthetic of it all. So without further ado, this is what the 808 pattern sounds like. And there you have it. And now, without further ado, you guys get to hear the full Detroit, real Boston Richey sound when it comes to the drums. This is what it sounds like. And there you have it, folks. That's the tutorial. I'm glad you made it to the end of the video. Make sure you guys like, comment, subscribe, and all that down below. Thank you very much for watching, and take it easy.